Today, we're going to get controversial.
Well, not really. We're just going to talk about the few things that Germany does better than the US.
But controversially.
Controversially. Okay, here we go. The 5 things that Germany does better than the United States. Welcome back. I'm Geoff.
And I'm Alex. We're 2 Americans who've been living in Germany for 10 years. About
12, but
who's
counting?
It's fine. And we're here to tell you and share our experience about what it's like to live in Germany as 2 Americans and hopefully help you out along the way.
And please go ahead and hit that subscribe button to get more cool videos like this. And don't forget to buy the like button a bottle of Pinch. He's just had such a bad week. He needs to pick me up.
It's been tough.
He just needs some help.
It's been hot.
Just help him out.
Help out a little bit.
He's a nice guy.
And also check out our links to our website and our Instagram down below. AGDW podcast. Channel.
We used to have a podcast. Or still do. Check it out.
Podcast is also on the website. Just click the links. They're right there. They're blue. Make them purple.
Okay. Enough about links. Let's get to the nitty gritty. The meat of what we're talking about.
What Germany?
We said top 5. I actually don't even know if it's 5.
Could be more.
Could be 6.
Could be less.
7. The top things we think Germany does better than the United States.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
And this is definitive. If you disagree, you are wrong.
Objectively
wrong.
Now, first, let's start with the obvious.
Obvious one. Public transport. Public transport, I think, is one that I didn't realize was a big deal in my life until I moved here.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was something I needed until once I had it. I never wanted to go back to relying on a car in which I'm wasting money on gas and oil changes and just pollution and sitting in, especially when I lived in LA, sitting in traffic for an hour and a half just to get to work. I just realized I don't have the patience for any of that anymore.
No, 100%. And what I really like about being able to use public transport, especially in Berlin, it's enormous. In fact, fun fact time. Berlin has 170 subway stations and 168 S-Bahn stations.
And S-Bahn trains are elevated trains, like the L in Chicago, I guess.
Yeah.
So combined, that's roughly around 350 just public transit stations, not including all the tram stations and the bus stops and the ferries and et cetera, et cetera. That's off, and that's all just in the city of Berlin. So no matter where you live in Berlin, if you throw a stone, you're gonna hit a public transit station. That
even on the outskirts, it's very easy. And because it's so big, I use it a lot, especially during the winter times. And what I really enjoy about public transport is, one, I don't need to pay attention. In a car, you really have to. Yeah,
you can read, you can do that homework assignment that you just forgot to do or didn't want to do the night before.
Play some Candy Crush if you're into that.
That's your thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Or listen to a cool podcast like the AGDW podcast. Check it out.
Or watch this YouTube channel, which you're doing anyways.
Maybe on your way to work on a train. But probably not if you're in the US. But
yeah, the public transport here is unbelievably good. It's really kind of stupid how good it is.
Now, of course, that just covered the city. Within all cities, you have a huge national train network that completely obliterates the US rail network, which is basically there for kind of like train tourism. It's kind of one of those things you do on your 50th wedding anniversary. You take a train from California to to Lake Tahoe or or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not something a lot of people, unless you live in the DC, New York metropolitan areas, or again Chicago, those kinds of places. But in general, you're sitting in your car, whereas Germany just has tens of thousands of miles of rail, high-speed trains, the ICE, the Intercity Express. Just taking you absolutely everywhere.
And also outside of Germany as well. You can go to, all European countries via train. It's great. It's better than the environment. It's better than flying. And it's, if you get a seat, pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
And another great thing about public transport, Geoff, is that I never have to worry about getting home from the bar ever again. So I don't have to drive. And
but we're already here. Wait, but
should we?
Whiskey?
Yes.
There we go.
That's it. Cheers. That's the stuff.
Oh, that's good.
I like it.
But one thing that's not good, we're talking about how great the train system, the public transit system in general is in Germany. And there's been this kind of myth about the punctuality of Germans and German trains. Now, the one thing we have to bring up is that the past
year, 2 years.
I'd say 2-3 years.
Yeah.
The Deutsche Bahn, which is the German rail operator, has just nosedived in terms of being on time, in terms of punctuality, in terms of customer support. Almost every train you go on now in Germany will at least be a few minutes late, might get canceled. It's just really the myth of the punctual German train is just gone.
The myth of punctual Germans at all is a myth. It's not true. Germans aren't very on time.
No, that's not true. I'd say most Germans are.
People, but not like infrastructure, construction, trains, all that stuff. It's not what you would expect, I think.
Ask the Berlin airport that showed up 12 years late about punctuality.
And built already obsolete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of this kind of goes along public transit. One other thing that Germany does better is the highways and roads.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%. I mean, everyone knows, I think most of the people know about the Autobahn. It's the highway system here in Germany. And it has the areas, not the whole thing. That's a myth. Not the whole thing is unlimited speed limit, but there are areas where you can drive as fast as you want.
I think it's roughly, don't quote me, that's roughly about half are limited. I think could be more that are limited
or unlimited.
Yeah, but there is a rather big chunk that is without speed limit. Of course, what ends up happening is, you'll be able to do 200 miles per hour for about 5 whole minutes, and then you'll hit a construction zone and then slow down again. Or then now you're going through like a metropolitan area, you just slow down. So it's more like spurts. You're rarely going for hours at an insane speed.
The highways here and the roads generally, the infrastructure in these areas are like, you look at the roads and they're just super smooth. There's not a lot of potholes. You don't see a lot of these lines where they fix the cracks. I see that a lot, at least on Rhode Island where I'm from.
And if there is a tiny crack in the road, they will literally put up a metal sign that says, "Please excuse the road conditions." And you'll look around and be like, "What do you see?" And then you'll see like a tiny little crack, and be like, but one of the key things that makes the Autobahn, and one of the features that makes the Autobahn so good, is the construction. And one of the features of the construction is that the Autobahn is 3 times as thick as a standard American road.
Is that true?
Yeah, an American highway averages 11 inches of pavement, and the German Autobahn is 27 inches thick.
Holy.
Yeah. And of course they have
and it's tilted.
They have banking as well, because
banking.
And that's one of the reasons why German cars are so great, is because they have to build cars that can handle the Autobahn, the German Autobahn, these insane speeds. And so that's why German cars are just known around the world as being the coolest. And actually, that's another thing that Germany does better, I would say, is cars.
Cars, for sure. And it's with the economy in Germany. They love their trains and public transport, but they're also still a huge, enormous car nation.
Absolutely.
So it's a weird balancing act, I guess, right there for them.
Speaking of balancing acts.
Children.
Having a kid, that's a balancing act.
So I'm a kindergarten teacher. I have a lot of experience with the young ones.
He hangs out with kids every day.
Every day. And having a kid in Germany is it's infinitely easier than in the States for many reasons.
Yeah.
And I think one of the 2 top ones is money-wise. So in Germany, you get something called Kindergeld, or child money. Mm-hmm. And then you also get Elterngeld, which is parent money. And you get Elterngeld, I think, until the child's 18. And Kindergeld.
Well, explain what Kindergeld is.
So the government gives you money every month. It's like 200, 150 euros, somewhere around there.
It's to help you with the cost of having a child. So
diapers, clothes, food.
Exactly. The basics, those little extras that suddenly come into your life or into your checkbook, I'd say.
There are no checkbooks in Germany either. That's a little fun fact.
That is true.
Also, you have free education, free college education, and every German child is theoretically guaranteed a kindergarten spot, but which is ages 1 to 6.
If you can find one.
If you can find one.
Sometimes it's hard to find a spot, but technically you are guaranteed one, and it is for free.
So
in a public
free
kindergarten.
And kindergarten here goes from age 1 until 6. So pretty much you don't have to pay a dime for your child to be taken care of when they're young or when they're old. And I think that is just a huge burden off a lot of parents, because having a kid should not bankrupt you.
No, and one of the beautiful things about being a parent here is that, in the States, you're lucky if you get a month of maternity leave,
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, here, as the mom, of course, you have a choice, but you can get up to 2 years.
And dad, it's paternal leave, it's for both.
But the length is not the same.
Right.
Yeah. But as the mom, you can get up to 2 years, and a good chunk of that is at full pay, and then it switches to
60%.
60% pay, and then gets a little bit lower. But
you can also split it with your partner as well. So you could do a year, they could do a year, you could do a year and a half, they could do 6 months. So you're going to choose how you want to split it up, which I think is really nice. And it's great for the child as well, because that bonding period from birth until 1 year old is an incredibly important time. So you get to actually have that time with your child to bond and enjoy each other and like
absolutely
be a parent. I think it's lovely.
And in the US, you're more worried about, now you have these extra expenses, like I need to work more. Whereas in Germany, you have a kid, you end up working less and you don't have to worry about it because again, you still have your paycheck coming in because it's guaranteed.
And you can't lose your job. It's pretty fantastic.
And next, number 8, because I don't know, there's no numbers, is something that's important, of course, to me, to Alex, to everybody, and that's workers' rights. Now, for me, what we're about to talk about is going to be, it doesn't really apply so much because I've worked freelance my whole life, so I don't get a lot of these goodies that he gets or that a normal salaried employee gets. But in Germany, as a salaried employee, you have a much more comfortable balance between work and life.
100%. You have a minimum 24 vacation days. There's no limit on sick days. But if you are sick for, I think, 6 months straight, you get a pay decrease for like 60% or something like that. But you still can't lose your job. And it's also a very pro-union country. There's unions everywhere. That's why Walmart really fails.
I mean, the U.S. is full of unions as well.
Yeah.
So I think that they're probably even in terms of unions.
There's also something called the Betriebsrat, which is the workers' rights law that they have. So it's very much more workers' rightsy.
Yeah.
And then you also have, this is controversial as well. As an employee, it's great. As an employer, I don't think people like it that much. But after you work for 2 years on contract, you are now tenured. You can't get fired unless like you do something super egregious.
So basically after 2 years, you're given a permanent contract.
Right.
After 2 years, a permanent contract where they now have to let you work at that place to the day you die for 30 years, 40 years, which I don't agree with because included with this permanent contract, there is so few reasons in which you can get fired. And what happens, and I've heard this from a lot of people that work at big companies in Germany, such as Deutsche Telekom, T-Mobile, they'll say that people, once they get tenured, once they get the permanent contract, just slack off and don't care anymore because they're like, hey, I can't get fired. So it's not even based on performance. You could give a shitty performance and they still can't fire you, which I think if you're a bad employee as a business owner, I should be able to let you go and replace you with somebody who does innovate, who does still have the spark in them, you know? So great for workers, but I don't know. I'm not really with it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
And then the last one, of course, is...
And I think maybe one of the most important.
I think it's definitely the most important, is German beer.
Yeah, Germany just does beer better. You just have to face it. Yes, the U.S. has a huge craft beer scene.
Yeah,
but
I think it's controversial. I mean, the craft beer scene is pretty big in the States, not as big here, but it is growing a bit. But the variety here is pretty good. I mean, you go to a convenience store, there's like 60 beers you can choose from, and they're all like €1 to €2.5.
There are so many different German beers. And even if you're not with us and saying, because in a way it is opinion saying German beer, taste-wise, is better. But I would say more it's about the beer culture. In Germany, you're not a criminal if you just go to the park and open up a beer with your friend because you can drink in public. You can drink walking down the street. You can drink practically everywhere. And I think especially on a hot summer day, that makes so much sense. It's just, and it becomes part of the culture here that you just meet up with some friends, have a little cold brew when you're...
Yeah, not everyone's going out to get like super messed up when they go out. When, it's a beer is like a part of lunch. It's like... It's a part of culture there. And of course, you have the Reinheitsgebot, which is the beer law, the oldest law in Germany, I believe.
True. I think from 14 or 1500s, somewhere around there.
Something like that. Yeah. And that is that beer can only be called beer if it has water, hops, yeast, and barley. But yeast is not officially.
Yeah. So officially 3 ingredients. But the funny thing is, I mean, in Germany, since we've been here for the past decade, we've probably each tried 300 German beers, right?
Yeah, easy.
And the majority, if you look in the back, ingredients, it'll be those 3 Reinheitsgebot.
They taste different. They're brewed differently.
Yeah, but it's amazing how much you can do with just these 3 ingredients. It's actually pretty crazy. But I would say when it comes down to it, it's the drinking culture. It's much more accepted here. Whereas in the U.S., everybody's getting drunk, but it's very much, again, you don't have the public transit. So it's like, okay, go ahead and drink with your friends, but drive, get a DUI on the way home.
Right.
And don't go just sit in a park and drink. No, you have to drive to a bar and then have this issue of how am I going to get home?
And I think because people start drinking here legally at 16, but it's less of a forbidden fruit. So you kind of grow up with it and you learn to respect the alcohol a bit more than I think I did when I was a kid in the States, and probably you as well.
Yeah, so as a kid, the few times you could drink was when the parent was out of town and you had like a party.
And you're 21 and
you're just guzzling beer. But here, from the age of 16, you can go to a bar and have a beer. And so you learn your tolerance very quickly. You learn to just drink responsibly, I think, at an earlier age. At least that's my opinion.
And I think that's the main message of this whole video is drink responsibly.
Yes. Speaking of drinking responsibly, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay.
Cool. So thank you all once again for coming to watch. You all are lovely people. I'm assuming I can't see you.
No idea, actually.
But if you're looking at us, you're probably pretty cool. So everyone, take care and stay safe, stay healthy, and of course,
stay thirsty.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. Cheers.